The Dragon Lord Legacy, Chapter 6, Spike's Week, Day 1, Fire in Our Hearts. Spike watched his mama, Xynthia the Successor, manipulate and play with fire in her palms. She was sitting on her haunches and allowed the pinkish-red flames to dance on her claws and flicker without any signs of it dying. He sat between his mother's forelegs, Eliensa the advisor, watching in amusement as his mama bended the fire in her claws with ease, a perpetual motion of flames dancing in the air or in around her palms. She had started out with a simple small flame on her palm that somehow expanded and burned faster than he could have anticipated.
The control is in your body, not just your mouth,
she explained. Eliensa vowed to remain silent and let her mate teach their son. The Scarlet Dragoness bended the flames and paws to and fro as if a puppeteer and danced them in unique ways.
Dragons have total control of their flames and fires in their bodies, but a true manipulator could ignite themselves and never burn the grass below them.
From Spike's memories, there were very few actual fire manipulators in Equestria due to how dangerous and unstable the form was. But here, in the Dragonlands, controlled by actual fire breathers, Spike knew that this was proper technique. Of course, this was just basics. The course went on.
The heat travels through your body. Every part of you, from the top of your head to the tip of your claws, down your spine, and through the tail, has heat. From the heat, you can and will be able to control your flames.
And any part of my body? He asked. That has heat? She nodded her head.
Yes, but to really control it, you must first understand where your heat stems from, where it begins, where it travels, and how it circulates in your body.
To demonstrate, the flames danced from her paws and began to run up her arms, spreading itself as it traveled in her body. Spike watched in awe as it moved through her body like magic and traveled downwards, instead of up. The fire spread and separated so that the trails went up to her wings while the others continued down onto her legs and to her tail. The final trail went up to her head and remained aflame on top of her, between her horns like a crown. Spike found himself in cheer, seeing his mama in flames dancing on her body with no visible reaction from them. In fact, the fires seemed like a light show, and varied in colors in certain places. Her wing membranes were a bit pinker at the base of the flame, while the other ones on her head burned her traditional red color. The tail one burned in a standard yellow-orange flame. "What's with the difference in colors?" he asked, pointing at the flames. Xynthia switched her tail, creating an arc of flames.
Different body parts have different temperatures, each responding to your anatomy.
She ceased her tail swishes and then lowered herself to her forelegs. She then gave a small growl, and her whole body grew brighter in flames as they began to burn hotter and brighter. Spike could feel the heat from here. The Scarlet Dragoness then wilted her stance, which caused the flames to dim slowly. She then inhaled once, causing them to grow, before exhaling greatly and the flames completely died on her body. "Wow," was all he managed to say. Both of his mothers smiled, seeing the hatchling-like look upon his face. Truly, he was enjoying being treated like one of their own.
"And that, my son, is fire breaking."
He nodded, still in awe at his mama's display. He approached her, feeling up her arms at the heavily heated parts. He saw no damage, obviously, but he still wondered what were the effects or if how much in control of the flames she had. "So, any dragon can manipulate their fires to do stuff like that?" His mother above him gave him a small hum.
It's mostly females that can produce the ability, son, though a few males have shown to do so as well.
Why only females? A part of him remembered this prior, but because he had so much of his memory just shoved back in all at once, that small tiny area where he was just a hatchling waking up from his coma had been partially erased. Xynthia laid in front of him with her paws right in front.
We, as females, have this ability because we need to keep our eggs warm. If a dragoness were to say, leave the safety and the heated lands here to search for her own place and couldn't find one, she would need to be able to keep herself warm, or her eggs warm. Her belly, after she has laid, could be a great place to keep her eggs warm, but if she were to surround herself in flames, she would be able to keep the eggs warm on all sides. Along with that,
continued Eliensa,
is that, while we are laying or caring for our young, we could ignite part of our bodies on fire to keep away unwanted intruders or would-be egg nappers.
He nodded in acknowledgement, though he huffed in disappointment. So I won't be able to do it?
Not true,
Quickly assured Cynthia.
I said to you before that most males do not want to learn it because it could take decades or centuries to learn. However, I believe that if you wish to be greater than a successor, an elder, or an advisor, you would learn this ability to become more respected.
He thought on this. Would I be able to learn from you? Even if it took me forever? She lowered her head to meet his eyes, flashing him a disappointed sigh.
Unfortunately, son, the difference between males and females in firebreaking is... it's vast. In truth, I could show you how to focus your flames from your palms, conjuring them from the center, but not to spread onto your body. Again, females do this to protect themselves and their young. Males would only do this to show off or be something else.
Spike thought about what they had told him if he couldn't be a successor, elder, or advisor. His fourth option would surely be something worth trying to learn for, right? So, who would I ask to help me if I am to choose the other option you gave me? Eliansa met her giant eyes with his.
The same one whom would teach you to become your desired role here.
Spike realized that he wouldn't need to focus on firebreaking for a while, so he decided to do something else. While he did want to know how to fly, his mothers had him learn how to first adjust to his wings.
You can't just open your wings and expect to fly right away. That is not possible.
Sure, because he figured you are born with the wings on your back and you learn how to fly after your first molt. Eliansa was the one instructing this time. She was actually lighter and smaller than her mate, plus her wings matched Spike's almost down to the talons. It was a weird coincidence, but nonetheless, she felt that this would make training him faster. She wasn't going to start off right away, though. Rather, she was going to teach him first his anatomy of his wings.
Your wings are more than just another part of you. They are an extension of your mind and your body.
All three were outside, on top of a large cliff that overlooked the Dragonlands. Here, the black dragoness had her wings drawn out, allowing the heated wings to sway back and forth with the strong zephyrs that came. Spike spread his wings, only to almost get thrown backwards at the sudden opening, throwing him onto his back. He landed on his back with a thud, earning a giant grunt loud enough that his mothers even heard. This earned both of his mothers a chuckle, knowing that this might have happened.
You should have opened them slowly, son.
Eliansa snorted with merit. Both saw Spike sigh with annoyance, closing his wings to his sides before sitting up on his haunches. Should have figured that one out. Indeed, the winds were strong right now, powerful enough to get a dragon as large as his mother's airborne, but also a little too strong to send him flying backwards and onto his tail.
We all learn in our own ways, Spike,
Cynthia mused, and she used her giant paw to uproot Spike to standing once more. The young Drake begrudgingly did so, though he kept his wings clamped shut onto his back. The strong winds should have told him to wait, but seeing how this was his first time using them, he was excited.
I was the same way after I molted. So, what you first must learn is that pony wings and dragon wings are different.
That he knew of.
Feathers and soft bone are nothing compared to skin and muscles that keep you airborne. While it is true that those pesky Pegasi have speed, maneuverability, and agility, dragons on the other claw have stamina, strength, and stability. Our wings may not look it, but a dragon could stay airborne a lot longer than any pony. Due to the sizes we grew into, many assume they could outrace or outperform a dragon. While speed has been a bit of a defect for some of us, there are other ways to compensate.
A purplish glow with a light touch of pink cascaded over her scales, like a light passing over before her body, igniting into a gentle violet flame, with a rosy pink at the tips of the flames leaving her body. This was the first time he had ever seen his mother's fire, and the way it danced around her body made her look all the more stunning. As she allowed her body to be consumed, she focused them on her wings and her palms, making her wing membranes catch on fire and her palms as well, with the ground itself heating up around her. He suddenly found himself being pulled back from her by Cynthia, giving her room as they watched at his mother crouch herself low to the ground. He knew she was about to take off, but he didn't expect what would happen next. Elianza focused all her fire downwards, then like a rocket, launched herself with such force and power that the ground below had cracked. The sheer explosion would have sent Spike flying had Cynthia not been there to, well, hold him. She had dug her claws to the ground just in case, and as soon as she took off the ground, she shot up at extreme velocity into the sky. He watched in almost disbelief that right before Spike and Cynthia, they saw and heard the crack of thunder. Spike's jaw hit the floor, as his mother had just broken the sound barrier. A light violet and pink trail left her body as she flew, taking a sharp turn east, where he saw her flying at breakneck speeds across the lands. He wasn't the only one seeing this, as many dragons around heard his mother break the sound barrier, along with her flying and circling the skies in sonic speeds. The trail that left her made her look like a black comet with a violet streak tail. He was reeling, his mind in utter shock and joy at seeing a creature, let alone a dragon, flying at speeds near Rainbow Dash's level. However, he also saw that despite her fast speeds, the focus of her velocity is her using her palms and her wings as propulsion. It reminded him of Trixie's rockets, being lit and shooting up to the skies and exploding. He had hoped that didn't happen with his mother, though. From what seemed like magic, probably some form of it, Elianza had circled the Dragonlands in a matter of a few minutes, her trail being seen far away, and eventually she had focused her way back towards them, with her trail disappearing as she began to decrease her speed. She approached them all but dropping her speed to a near dead stop by throwing her wings open into a complete stop in the sky before quickly turning into a glide. She circled overhead until she landed gracefully in front of them, as if she had never left the ground. Spike's mouth, it still hadn't come up, though he was aware that Cynthia had a grin that showed a bit of amusement at seeing her mate show off. Elianza had her own smile, though it was more pride than anything, along with Mary at seeing her stunned-faced son. Finally, Spike looked at his mother with joy and almost leaped into the air as he saw the most amazing display of speed and aerial maneuverability on a dragon. While seeing Rainbow Dash perform and pull off the sonic rain boom, that was amazing. Seeing something close to it being pulled off by a creature 3 times the size and weight, that let Spike know that dragons were truly capable of matching up with ponies. Mother, that was amazing! His body was shaking with excitement, tail wagging happily, and he ran up to her, hugging her arm in a tight embrace. Elianza bristled with warmth and the attention she was receiving. I can't. He was truly speechless, yet she knew what he was trying to get at. She leaned down, meeting her eyes to him, flashing him with a grin.
Never underestimate what you are, son. And never downplay what you can accomplish,
added Cynthia.
Believe it or not, it took her half a century to do something so complex.
So, will I be able to learn that? Elianza nodded, though it had some hesitancy with it.
Again, my son, what you learn and what you accomplish is up to you. I could teach you everything I can today and you could master it by tomorrow, or by the end of this century. Your willingness to push beyond your limits and your mind is all on what your goal is. I have no doubts that you can and will learn whatever you are taught. You didn't pass the trials without pushing yourself, and we have full assurances that you can learn this.
She flashed her violet eyes towards him.
But if you wish to learn all of it this week, we can teach you.
He thought on it. In truth, yeah, he wanted to learn that neat little trick to propel himself at near Mach levels of speed close to Rainbow Dash. However, this was his week. He wanted to learn what it was like to be raised as a dragon. After all, his home is here now too, and whether he came to live or visit here, he could always learn from his mothers on how to do this. Dragons had, well, they had pretty long lifespans. He had as much time here as he did with Equestria, but he at least wanted to know what it was like to be a hatchling, raised among dragons. I have plenty of time to learn that, he answered, hugging his mother's leg. Like he said, It could take centuries to learn, but I don't have centuries to be a hatchling, so... Well, what else could you teach me while I'm still young?
We will teach you how to fly as quick as we can, my son,
Cynthia promised. Once more, the motherly love he had received from both females let him know that he was making their moments count. Mother and Mama were about to go into full loving parents mode.